Have you ever wondered why some women are revered and some women are disregarded? Why some women are taken seriously and others are thrown to the side of the road? This is often because they're embodying the wrong archetype for the occasion. There are 8 different female archetypes. Some get taken seriously, some are worshipped, and not all are good. Some will destroy your career, and some will bring you the love of your dreams. And the truth is that unlike with men, you can shift and embody different archetypes to meet your needs. Today we're going to be talking about the 8 archetypes and how you can use it to your advantage. Knowing how they perceive you saves you so much time, because I've coached so many clients who try to change the way a man sees them and they can't. Why? Because some of those perceptions are permanent. It's best to walk away and save your time. And if you don't know how men perceive you and you want Father Alex to talk to you individually, well, you guys can book a one-on-one phone call with me, and here you can see all of the different packages that I have. I have 15-minute call, 5-minute call, 30, 45, 50 minutes, an hour calls. Or you could purchase them in a package if you want to work with me on a more consistent basis. You could purchase them at a discount by purchasing 3. And I believe working with me is one of the quickest ways to get the results that we speak of in this video, ladies and gentlemen. So just click on the description down below where it says work with Father Alex one-on-one, and then you go have a phone call with me today. Okay, and the results that people get from working with me is outstanding, to be honest with you. Usually their eyes open, because sometimes when you watch my videos, you watch it in a certain way that you only watch the videos that fit your narrative. Talking to Father Alex gets to the truth, people. Yeah, that's right. The type of truth that hurts, but the type of truth that changes. All right, so book that call with me, or else I'm closing the channel. Anyways, let's go back to the couch. The first one is the Madonna. Right? Now, the Madonna represents purity, virtue. She's what people might call the marriage to Jesus. Traditional values that some men find reassuring. It's very similar to what guys go to South America for, right? Where a guy will go to Colombia to marry a wife there. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for a Madonna, right? The psychological makeup of guys who see you this way, because not every guy will see you this way, right? Because you might be a Madonna to one guy, but to another guy you might be born, right? Guys who see you as this are attracted to the Madonna are often seeking stability and wholesomeness, not wholesome sex, right? Influenced by cultural and religious upbringing. So they're very conservative a lot of the time. Sometimes it might be a little demeaning, right? But they're very traditionalist. And the signs that he sees you this way is that he might compliment your modesty and your traditional values. He's like, I like the way you don't bang the whole football team. You know, that's what I like about you. You know, I like the way that you always, I was going to say always stay in the kitchen. Oh, pick up Father Alex is being sexist. Right? But generally speaking, though, they're very religious, or they have a lot of they're very into their family, right? Very family oriented. And the problem is that you're not going to find these types of people in normal liberal cities. Generally speaking, they're in smaller areas or guys who are religious. And the implications to this is that while this can lead to admiration, this can lead to a family, it might also overlook your personal complexities and individuality, where they only see you as a wife, where they only see you as where they only like pigeonhole you into a position. And a lot of the times these guys, they might cheat sometimes. You know how these super religious guys are. When you have to suppress so much intense desire, you sort of overcompensate by finding other ways to release that tension, right? Now, this one is a victim that women tend to be attracted to because it validates their masculinity. And that's the damsel in distress, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. Perceived as vulnerable, needing rescue, attracting men who want to feel like the protector. Get comfortable with the dynamics of your childhood, right? And so a lot of the times when you grow up, you sort of want to relive that in a weird way, not consciously, right? But just that's how the brain works. And this is why I do these videos, right? Because I want to help people, right? This channel is targeted towards the most vulnerable types of people, right? Naive people, neurodivergence, people with bipolar, people who love too hard, people who can't control their desires, right? It tends to gravitate towards people like that because in real life, those are the women in my life that I've wanted to help, right? So it's kind of interesting reading this, because this is actually me. So they want to feel like protectors, right? The psychological makeup of that stems from the need to be the hero, right? Often because of childhood dynamics with strict and controlling parents. My mom was really strict. right? She was really strict, and I'm the last person you want to be strict with. And this is why I tend to be so like anti being told what to do, right? And the signs that he sees you this way is that he offers help frequently. Jesus Christ, he's overly protected. I'm not overly protected, and sees you as someone who needs guidance. The fuck? This is crazy, man. I don't go too far with this, to be honest with you. I give people liberty to think on their own. I'm not like overbearing, you know what I'm saying? But it does feel nice. It does feel nice to be needed. And the implications is that while supportive, it can create dependency and limit your growth. Now, the difference between me, ladies and gentlemen, because this is actually me, it's kind of interesting, right? Because I wrote it, but I wasn't thinking of myself for some reason, is that I tend to give people the liberty. It's kind of like when you're with me, but one day you will leave me. And it's actually to your benefit to leave me, right? Because a lot of times people are only in your life for a certain phase. And if they stay too long in that phase, it becomes rotten, right? So for me, at least for me, I tend to not be too like dependent on people and vice versa, because I hated when I was a kid, my parents, like the way they behave sometimes made it seem like, you know, like I was a parent, right? And it kind of it kind of constricts you, and when you try to leave them, they get mad at you, right? So me personally, I don't, even though this is me, I personally don't like to hold people back, right? For example, if you learn from me, I always tell people, if you learn from me, you're more than free to go out there and use what you learn, even if it's against me, right? I want people to succeed. Yeah. Now the second mother, right? You guys gotta stop mothering these guys, man. They look for a nurturing figure who gives care and comfort, much like a mother would. And a lot of the times, these guys, the psychological makeup of people like this is that men who were doted by their mothers might look for the same nurturing in their partner, right? So they're used to getting a certain type of treatment, being adored. Maybe the mother didn't have a man in her life, and so they sort of replace the child as a way to get male attention. Like that does happen. And so the child gets used to that. The child gets praised, gets used to the praise and the constant adoration. And so that child will put their future partners in a position where they are completely dependent on them, right? And that creates a toxic situation. Now, the signs he sees you this way is that he leans on you for emotional support and seeks guidance consistently. And another thing that tends to happen is that they tend to play on their weaknesses a lot. They tend to be weaker than they really are so that you can help them, right? It's like the child who's not getting attention, so he falls and cries so that mama can come and save him. Now, signs he sees you this way, he leans on you for emotional support and seeks your guidance consistently, right? You can sense there's like an overbearing, they use you almost as though you're their therapy. And the implications of that is that it can lead to emotional dependency and resentment on your part. And they become too self-reliant for your nurturing. And if you don't give them the nurturing because you're freaking tired of that shit, right? What tends to happen, they're going to resent you if you don't give them that, right? They're going to resent you. Even though you're not their mother, psychologically speaking, and the projection that's going on, they're seeing the mother and they'll react in such a way. Now the siren, this one is the one that men are most weakest to when they see you as a siren. And they tend to see you as sensual, free spirit, often needing direction. A lot of times you tend to see them in meditation retreats. You might see them in Oaxaca. You might see them going to conservative Asian countries and go to the beach area and walk around topless thinking that they're free, right? They walk with no shoes on. There's a natural sensuality emanating from them. That's how guys see you when they see you as a siren. And the psychological makeup behind guys like that is that they're drawn to adventure and mystery. They might see you this way because of it, especially if they're escaping routine, especially if you have an earthy look to you, right? They'll go for you because you're different, you're exotic, and you might show some skin, right? And the signs he sees you this way is that he's fascinated by your adventure side and your exotic nature. He's fascinated by your accent. He's fascinated by how different you look. You don't look like every white girl. You don't look like every Asian girl. You don't look like every black girl, right? There's a certain fetishization of you. And above all, they physically react to you, right? There's a physical reaction to your presence that is obvious in the eyes. And the implications behind this is that while exciting, these relationships can be unstable, focus on thrill rather than substance. And a woman in this position might feel used and thrown to the side of the road. And now this one is actually one of the, I think, the second most impactful one, and that's the cold narcissistic woman. The cold narcissistic woman is a woman that men, when they see you, they start to project their insecurities. This is what every woman becomes when they are not interested in someone but are sending them mixed signals. When you're halfway interested in someone, you're gonna look like the cold woman all the time. Just like when a man is half interested in you, you're gonna start to they're gonna start to resemble this. And the way that they know that, the way they see you as a cold woman, is that even if you're cold, even if you're an asshole to them, they still come back to you like freaking puppies, right? So the psychological makeup of guys who deal with that is that men with emotional unavailable mothers might project their needs onto you. You might unconsciously remind them of their mothers, seeking to fill an emotional void. It's like when a dog dies, you're gonna buy another dog that looks like the old dog. And there you could project your pain, your sadness of the other dog, and use that new dog as a way to comfort you. The signs he sees you this way is that they're intrigued by your aloofness, by your coldness, by your mystery, by your inconsistency. They reframe it as a positive thing, as a chase, as an exotic adventure. And so no matter how many cold things you do, they still come back. And the implications behind that is that while this creates initial intrigue, it can lead to disappointment, because as soon as they get to actually know you, they'll get turned off. The only reason why they like you is because of the coldness. You remind them of the aloof parent who wasn't there, who didn't give them the emotional support that their little kid needed. And the problem is that if you come across as this to someone, as soon as you open up, you stop being the cold woman, projections stop, and all of a sudden the roles are reversing. You're the one that's chasing. Now the next one is the femme fatale. I don't know why the hell they call it that. That don't sound like English, but this woman is seen as dangerous, right? She might be the type of woman who is dating a mobster and you're dating her because it's hot and dangerous, right? Any situation that presents any form of danger and manipulative, people will be attracted to that. For example, let's just say you cheated on your husband. The guys who see you as a femme fatale or dangerous ass woman, they'll find you attractive. Find you attractive, you know that your ex might be freaking Saddam Hussein, then that means they don't see that projection, right? And so these guys are just risk takers, people who like taking risk, people who like sleeping with other people's wives and that type of stuff, risk type of stuff. And the psychological background behind people like this is that they are drawn to this archetype by the allure of risk and the dynamics of power in the relationship, right? And a lot of the times, if you remove the risk between the two of you, the spark would go away. And the signs that they see you this way is that they find your confidence both intimidating and attractive. They find the whole dangerous situation attractive. They find the hopefully we don't get caught attractive, right? So the implications behind people who enjoy these types of relationships is that engaging with this archetype can be thrilling, but often involves intense power struggle, but often involves risk. You could ruin your reputation. You could get in trouble. You could get beat up as a guy, right? There are dudes who legit like taking risk. Like it's like a compulsion for them, right? Now, this one is the Muse. As an artist myself, I've encountered people who wanted me to treat them as a muse. And the thing is that people's, it's nothing wrong with being a muse, but there's some negatives to it. Now, look, being a man's muse, you feel like you are the source of creativity, especially if the guy is successful. There's a certain validating quality to it. It is what made Picasso so attractive. Women wanted to be with him because they wanted to be immortalized in his paintings. The problem is the men who have this desire, the psychological background, is that men seek motivation, often see you as a catalyst for their creative endeavors. It's almost like when men objectify you physically, but this time objectify you creatively. And the way that they see you this way is that they're always praising you, how you help them and give them inspiration. how you inspire their ideas, and how you motivate them, right? It's almost like you becoming motivation to a person, and there's nothing wrong with that. The implications behind that, though, is that while flattering, it could burden you with the expectation to give constant inspiration, like you're a freaking motivational speaker here, right? Overlooking your own needs. You're always focusing on them, right? Always focusing on their needs. You're always sacrificing for them, and if they cannot be creative, it is your fault, and that is not fair for you. The next one is the nurturer, all right? Now, the nurturer offers warm and emotional support, emotionally available, the golden retriever of people. The problem is that people who have this desire, who see you this way, are men who are seeking security and unconditional love, find solace in this archetype. Maybe these guys are going through some emotional low moments. They're going through like a crisis, and you come into their life, and the only reason they're interested in you is because you provide some form of comfort, and you give it freely without paying them for therapy. The signs that they see you this way is that they only come to you when they need you. When you need them, they're not. But when they need you, you're always there for them. That's a little unfair, right? Because the implications behind that is that it provides stability, but it becomes a one-sided type of thing if the nurturing is overshadowed by the other dynamics of the relationship, where as soon as they're done with you, they leave you. And that's problematic, right? Where it's almost like when people who move into a new city, they'll make friends with whoever wants to be their friend. And as soon as they make new friends, they throw out the old friends. It's kind of similar to that. That's why you should not be looking. You should always be looking for people who give you what you give to them, right? Now, the next one is this one is what I call the gringo mindset, where guys come from other countries and they look and they think they're doing you a favor by speaking to you, where they like, oh, I am Jake from freaking white.com, and I am here to meet my indígena girlfriend, and they owe a favor. It's almost like Dostoevsky stories, where Dunya, the sister of Raskolnikov in the book Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Long story short, there was a guy who was trying to court Dunya, right? And he was pretty much trying to prostitute her, and he was trying to he was using the money, the potential of marriage, because he promised her marriage, as a way to manipulate her. And long story short, Dunya, being in a position where she needed the money, saw the disrespect by Proctor, that's his name, Proctor, right? And she eventually left him. And the guy was shocked. Why? Because he thought that he was doing her a favor. He thought that he could leverage the potential of marriage and to save her family and provide money for her brother who was about to kill someone, right? And she said no, because she had dignity. These types of guys prey on the weak. They prey on women who are in need of something, and they take advantage of that. And so men like this view it as simple and requiring men like this see you as simple and requiring little effort to impress you. They put minimal effort, and a lot of the times the present woman projection isn't just like that they see you as poor. It could just mean that also he thinks he's so much hot shit that he doesn't need to do anything to impress you. Right? It's pretty much being standoffish. And the psychological makeup of people like that is that they have a sense of entitlement and might see you as someone who doesn't challenge their status. So these are the type of guys who go for vulnerable, weak people, or people who they know they're out of their league, or people who they know need them financially. They leverage something to completely take advantage of them. And the signs he sees you this way is that he expects attention without little effort, doesn't appreciate the things you put in. They put no effort to impress you, no effort to seduce you. There is a lack of romanticism. In order for a man to be romantic, he needs to feel some sense of insecurities. Insecurities are the things that creates romanticism. Now, the implications behind this, right, is that it can lead to relationships that are not satisfying. And above all, it might make you hate men. Stop being with people who think they're doing you a favor to be with them. You're going to hate them in the long run. And the next one is this: the Terminator women, the masculine ones. Ladies and gentlemen, there's an epidemic of Terminators out there. Nothing wrong with being having masculine traits, but you shouldn't be overly identified with the masculine. right? It'll help you in your business world, but in your relationship, it'll completely destroy it. The description of it is that they embody traditional masculine traits like assertiveness and independence and dominance, right? You could see Miranda Priestley. You could see Oprah's not a good example. Angela Merkel is an example of that. They have traditional manly roles, and the psychological makeup of women like that is that men who respect women often lack in assertiveness. These men may have grown up in environments where they were overshadowed or discouraged from being decisive, and so they find comfort in a decision maker, which is the masculine woman. The signs he sees you this way is really simple, man. They let you decide things. They don't like to have conflict. They avoid conflict. They seek your approval. Yes, ma'am. They avoid conflict by agreeing with everything that you say. And anytime you get angry, they run in fear, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the implications behind this is pretty drastic. Is that it can it can make the woman frustrated. She doesn't feel feminine. She feels like she can control him. She loses respect for him. A lot of times you end up cheating on him because he's such a little bitch, right? And above all, on the man's side is that whenever they're with a masculine woman or a woman who is, unfortunately for women, more successful, more accomplished, is that their testosterone lowers, their sex drive lowers, and they end up looking to cheat as well. And women who show assertiveness or even show a lot of success in the business and even political world have higher divorce rates. People, I did not make people. Okay, I did not make men. I'm just explaining them to you. All right. Now, look, understand these projections are things a lot of the times are outside of your control, right? You could have a certain look to look wifey, but if the guy is not into looking for a wife, he may see you as boring, right? You might be masculine and he's super, I was gonna say super weak, super dominant as well, and because of that, to one guy, your masculinity they're into, but to another guy, they're completely repelled, right? It truly does depend on the person. Now, if you guys want to learn more about this type of topic, check out my new course, The Feminine Woman. All right, it's a course that I created to help women learn how to be masculine without losing your feminine side. I swear to God. But also, I teach you guys how to embrace your feminine while retaining the masculine. It's more so of a course that would teach women how to think like a man and behave like a woman, how to have a certain level of assertiveness, and yet the guy stays with you or doesn't have erectile dysfunction, right? Because that does show that when women try to be more assertive with guys, a lot of times they end up suffering from erectile dysfunction, right? That happens a lot of times. So it is a delicate dance of being feminine and masculine. And a lot of times when we don't know how to behave, we might go too far in one direction and actually get the results that you didn't intend. So the Feminine Woman is a 5-week course meant to teach you guys how to embrace the feminine in the workplace, right? And the masculine in the workplace, but also how to not let the workplace type of environment enter into your normal life. And I teach you guys the manifestation technique that I use to attract to manifest all of my goals. I teach you how to do that in my course, The Feminine Woman. Okay. And it's only for $99. Or you could purchase all of my courses, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. The Feminine Woman, The Psychological Game of Attraction, is a course for women who are single, Natural Chemistry, Charisma Blueprint, Emotional Mastery. You could purchase all of them at a discounted price by joining the Mindful Attraction University, taught by Professor Alex. All right. Anyways, there's a 30-day money back guarantee. If you guys don't like it, you guys can get the refund. No big deal. Okay. Anyways, see you guys inside. Take care.